Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go!
Welcome into a Wednesday edition. We're wild and wacky here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Glad to have you with us in the Lee Company studio. What a dreary Wednesday it is. That's okay. March showers bring April warm weather. We're going to get some warm weather this weekend thanks to these showers, so I'm not too mad about it. Mo, what's going on in your world?
Hey, I'm just glad to have power because about an hour or so ago I didn't, and so that
what happened? Do you know? Was it just?
I don't know if we had some sort of an outage. Well, I mean, clearly we had an outage, but I don't know what created it. I don't know if there was a line down somewhere or what exactly happened. But just glad to have gotten that rectified in a timely manner. So
yeah, well done to well done to the folks at Middle Tennessee Electric.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's there was a post as I was doing trivia last night. There was a post on Facebook about not going to Greens Mill Road in Spring Hill because a dump truck had hit a power line, and folks were driving in other people's yards trying to go around the dump truck, driving over live power lines. Just absolutely nuts. Like, what are you doing, folks? Be smarter. What? It was crazy. So, yeah, it could have been a dump truck. It could have been anything. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, there's no telling. No telling.
Man.
Yeah.
We've got a great show today, Mo. We've got Heather Williams set to come on, talk a little NASCAR out of WCYB TV in Bristol. She was in North Wilkesboro for testing earlier this week. So we'll get to hear about what the All-Star race was going to look like. And we'll also talk to Ben Arthur. The Titans are apparently among the favorites to land Lamar Jackson. I still don't understand how that's going to happen, but hey, maybe. Whatever. and on top of that, we'll just get an idea of kind of what's going on in the AFC South this off season and what Ben is hearing, seeing, and feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'll get the weirdest and wildest news from across the world in a final segment today. And we will absolutely have some of the weirdest and wildest stories. I've got a couple of good ones today. I'm looking forward to it.
Nobody finds those like you, man.
Well, it's funny because I was never a big Marty and McGee watcher because they're on early Saturday morning and I'm just not awake. But when I started watching it this past year, one, because, obviously our connection with Ryan, but I was getting up earlier with the kids. So I was awake when Marty and McGee were coming on before SEC Nation. And I didn't realize they had hillbilly headlines, which is basically the same thing. And so it's interesting because I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So we're not the only ones doing that. That's neat. I like that. So
hillbilly headlines.
Great,
hillbilly
great name for
headlines.
I like
Fantastic
that.
name.
So
I like that.
a way better name for the segment that they have, but they're obviously a lot smarter than I am.
Well,
too,
they got
so.
they got a lot more resources as
That's
well.
true.
So it might not be that either Marty or McGee came up with that. Maybe
That's right.
somebody else just threw that in there. Hey,
It's just us.
it's just us. That's it. So
What about
we
the
don't
random
have
phone?
any ideas, people, or
Is
any
Justin
guests?
our idea person?
Well, I mean, he is, but he's the only one we have.
Right, exactly. We might need to
We don't
expand
have a
that team.
team. We are the team. So
And you
for
get
better or
ran
for worse,
ran with the plan, man. Hey,
Rand
Hey,
has a
Rand
plan.
has a plan.
that's what he
Hashtag.
Yeah, just be looking out for something in the future on that. Just heads up.
We are
That Marty McGee.
brainstorming around that. So
Anyway, a lot to get to today. We're going to do that. We've got to get to some scores and schedules, though. Even though the schedules, any
Consult
outdoor
local
sports
listings.
today, yeah, you might want to call somebody.
you don't know.
We don't know, so you're going to need
You
to
better
call
call somebody. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, who's the anonymous pumpkin today?
I guess that's
All right,
that's hitting a little close to home right there.
that one's a little interesting.
Shocking.
So
Yeah.
anyway, we'll give you the results and a schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
High school baseball scores from Tuesday. Athens, Alabama defeated Summertown 5-4. Stewart's Creek defeated Blackman 4-1. Centennial with the 4-0 win over Nolensville. Clarksville defeated Clarksville Northeast 13-2. Henry County with a 13-1 win over Columbia Central. Columbia Academy finished off the sweep of University School of Nashville with a 3-2 victory. Moore County 19, Culleoka 7. It was Clarksville Academy 9, Donaldson Christian 4. East Robertson edged Eagleville 6-5. Middle Tennessee Monarchs defeated Ezel Harding 10-0. Giles County with a 5-4 win over Forest. Hendersonville defeated Friendship Christian 12-7. Hampshire with a 6-1 win over Hickman County. Hume Fogg defeated Hillwood 4-1. It was Spring Hill 14, Overton 2. Lawrence County with a 9-3 win over Mount Pleasant. Loretto edged Lauderdale County of Alabama 5-4. Martin Luther King with a 12-0 win over Maplewood. McGavock 18, East Nashville 8, and Middle Tennessee Christian 14, Franklin Road Academy 2.
Ravenwood down page 14-5. It was Community 3 Richland 1 and Riverdale with a 4-2 win over Oakland. Siegel down Rockville 5-0, and Smith County was a 10-5 winner over Westmoreland. Rossview quadruples up Springfield 20-5, and Summit edges Brentwood 5-4. Sycamore 13-3 winners over Cheatham County, and Greenbrier over Walnut Ridge of Arkansas 9-1. Webb School was an 11-4 winner over Providence Christian, and Franklin Christian and Zion Christian in an absolute shootout 16-13. Franklin Christian the winners there. In softball action was Beach doubling up Hendersonville 12-6, and Blackman edging Brentwood 3-2. Nolensville now puts Columbia Central on a skid 11-5. The Lady Knights are a winner. Columbia Academy. Wow. This is back-to-back 15-0 wins for the Lady Dogs, this time over Middle Tennessee Christian after defeating Webb School earlier this week. Eagleville, 5-4 winners over Community. Gallatin, 17-12 over Station Camp. It was 7-4 Page over Lawrence County. McGavock, 22. Hunters Lane, Neal. Richland, 16. Santa Fe, Neal. Shelbyville, 6-1 winners over Murfreesboro Central. Stewart's Creek, 34. Antioch 1. At least they scored. Tullahoma 13-3 winners over Spring Hill. Wayne County 17-2 over Culleoka, and Watertown 11-3 over Westmoreland.
In boys soccer action yesterday, it was Brentwood defeating Columbia Central 4-1. Friendship Christian with a 2-1 win over Middle Tennessee Christian. Hume Fogg and Overton played to a 1-1 draw. Lawrence County defeated Loretto 4-1. Murfreesboro Central 7, Lincoln County 1. Blackman and Oakland a scoreless draw. Merrill High defeated Portland 4-1. It was Rockvale 4, Riverdale nothing. Siegel with a 7-0 win over Stewart's Creek. Smyrna defeated Laverne 5-2. Macon County edged Watertown 2-1. And White House with a 3-2 win over Station Camp. College baseball action on Tuesday. Tennessee with a 7-0 victory over Western Carolina. Middle Tennessee State went to Cookeville, picked up the 13-5 win over Tennessee Tech. Belmont defeated Southern Indiana 6-3. It was Cumberland 9, Tennessee Wesleyan 5.
Number 2 Tennessee Wesleyan.
Number 2 Tennessee Wesleyan.
Well, how about that?
University of Tennessee Southern 7, Stillman 6. And in junior college action, Vol State defeated Calhoun of Alabama 11-5, and Northwest Shoals defeated Columbia State 11-1. On the ice, the Predators 7, the Sabres 3.
Hey, how about that? Today's action again. Check your local listings. Baseball, 5:30, Lebanon hosting Stewart's Creek at 6 o'clock. Riverdale at Oakland. Also at 6, BGA takes on Grace Franklin. And CPA is at Independence at 6:30. Siegel hosting Rockvale, and Spring Hill at home against Henry County. Mount Juliet goes to Green Hill at 7.
In softball action today, Bryant, Arkansas is scheduled to play against Creekwood at 3 o'clock. At 4:30, Murfreesboro Central plays at Maplewood. 5 o'clock, Perry County is at Mount Pleasant. Forest is at Summertown at 5:30. At 6, Cane Ridge is at Smyrna. At 6:30, Oakland is at Green Hill, and at 7, Summit hosts Rockvale. Again, consult your local listings.
Boys soccer might have better luck. Spring Hill at Brentwood Academy at 5:30. Culleoka at 6 o'clock hosting Hickman County. Also at 6, Oakland is at Franklin, and at 7, Stewart's Creek is at Hendersonville. Men's basketball tonight at Memorial Gymnasium, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. It is the UAB Blazers and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Should be a good one.
You gonna make that one, Chris?
I'm not going to make it because we're going to the Preds tomorrow, so I need to be home tonight.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, it's my turn, huh? Softball tonight or today. Belmont is at Murray State. That's a 3 p.m. first pitch on ESPN Plus. At 5 o'clock, Central Arkansas is at Middle Tennessee State. Cumberland is at Reinhardt for a double dip that it started about 10 minutes ago. Junior college softball, College of Lake County is at Vol State. That's also a doubleheader that started about 10 minutes ago. And in the association, the Rockets are at FedEx Forum against the Grizzlies. That's a 7 o'clock start on Valley Sports South, and that is your rundown.
Folks, tomorrow we will be at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, broadcasting live at 2 o'clock from inside the radio tower at Bridgestone Arena. Make sure to get out if you're coming down there for Pecorino statue unveiling or anything else, whatever you might be doing. Come hang out. Come say hello to Brad Willis and the fine folks there. Speaking of Brad Willis, he has a little. If you've not paid attention to this show, to Brad Willis, he has a little tradition these days where he likes to surprise folks and let them know that they're being inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Well, he got a big surprise earlier today with longtime friend of the show, Teresa Phillips. We've got the video for you here.
Talking about how it was a very fitting companion to kind of the story of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. When you look at a lot of the individuals who were on her list that she had spoken to, she kind of gave me that list, and I went through and I said, yep, those people are all in. And we focused on one name that really stood out that wasn't in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and that was Teresa Lawrence Phillips. And I look out here today and I see, names that are here and names that are with us today that are part of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and we'd like to add one more because our board of directors has selected you as one of the newest members of our class of 2023. So congratulations.
Not me tearing up right now, getting chills.
Therese is part of a 12-member class that we're in the process of rolling out now. She's the 11th announced member, and she did not know we were doing this today.
But she probably didn't wonder why Candace Lee walked.
So, how about that? Congratulations to longtime friend of the show, Teresa Lawrence Phillips, for the news today that she will be inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Well deserved. And obviously, you know, we had her on earlier this year talking about her role at Vanderbilt as radio analyst, and her experience in this town and this state is unmatched by many. So well deserved.
Absolutely. I mean, her work at Tennessee State, you know, for her playing career at Vanderbilt, and just her familiarity and what she's done in this town. I mean, it's just like you said, it's well deserved, and congratulations to her. In fact, I shot her a text in the last little bit, and she just responded back to it. But yeah, that's a heck of an honor for her, and so congrats.
Again, we'll be there tomorrow from 2 to 3:30. So again, make sure to come by, say hello, and we'd love to talk with you. And if you're headed to the Preds game tomorrow, you also get a chance to stop by and see the rest of the Main Street Media folks who will be on hand for Main Street Media Night. You can come by, shake hands with newly named Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer Devin O'Day. She will be there. Host of Mornings on Main Street, Stephanie Miller, and of course, Mo and myself will be there kissing hands and shaking babies.
Something like that.
Oh, man. Well, other news around the state, or at least Nashville, Mo, Preds, as you mentioned, 7-3 winners last night over the Sabres. And as I was calling trivia, I keep getting these notifications. Preds score. And I'm like, is this like, am I getting like reminder notifications? No, the number keeps going up.
Felt like you were on a slot machine, huh? Cha-ching,
it was
cha-ching. Yeah.
I mean, it was serious. Like, I thought, my gosh, what in the world is going on? So now we know that the Preds still have that opportunity. We talked about yesterday in the standings and where they sit currently.
Now, is that Evangelista getting something there? He had a big.
Yeah, this is on the Preds. Yeah, I think he right here kind of explains it.
What?
Yeah, do they give out some sort of like Evel Knievel helmet or something? What is that?
I'm not sure exactly what that is.
I'll try to find out.
It looks like a motorcycle helmet of some sort. And then they hit him on the head. Okay, it was backwards. Now it's forward, and they've hit him on the head.
Let's not get any head injuries after the game.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And again, the Preds, let's see. It's hard for me to add up here, but it looks like the Jets have played 72 games and they have 83 points. The Preds have played 70 games and they have 78 points. So they're still 5 points out right now, and it's not looking great, but they do get Seattle, who is also in the wild card spot tomorrow night. That will be an opportunity to inch a little closer. But yeah, the Jets are pulling away at this point. It looks like that streak may be on its way out, Mo, like we talked about yesterday. But for this team to even be playing as well as it is right now is pretty impressive, considering all that has gone on since just before the trade deadline.
I think the Preds have played 69 games, for what that's worth.
There's just too many numbers there to add up at once.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
But again, so they do have 3 games in hand, but they're 5 points out. They'd have to win all 3 of those extra games if things held as they are in order to get in. But boy, wouldn't that be something if they did win all 3.
Well, I mean, there's a thing. I mean, they've had a couple of hot streaks here this season, and maybe they've got one more in them. So
it's very possible. Very possible. All right. Well, we're going to take our first break of the day as we get ready to talk a little NASCAR, and Heather Williams will join us right after this on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. So stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Yeah, I like that. It's good music, Justin. Appreciate that. Welcome back in.
Good beat, and it's easy to dance to. I give it an 88.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow here with Mo Patton, and we are bringing you our regular Wednesday guest with Heather Williams, talking a little NASCAR. She's going to join us. It looks like via phone this week. Heather, are you still on the road?
Well, sort of. I'm out on my way to shoot a feature story on one of the brothers of NFL star Jason Witten. He is, it's his brother Ryan. He is the head girls flag football coach at Milligan College here in Elizabethton. So I'm on my way out to talk to that team about their program.
Well, give him our number because we got some girls down here that can play. So
that's very true.
All right, he's looking for girls. In fact, they don't have a season this year because they didn't have a deep enough team, and he just took over this year. But they don't have a deep enough team and had too many injuries, so they're actually not playing a season. So absolutely, he's looking for players.
Yeah.
Well, that means he'll have plenty of time to come recruit in Middle Tennessee, where Williamson County and Davidson County are Metro, not Davidson County. Metro schools are
Metro. I think Montgomery County has it as well this year. So yeah, we got some options down here. I did not realize that there was another brother besides Jason and Sean, actually. So that's
today.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Okay.
He's actually worked a lot with the younger programs, like the middle school programs and the like the Pee Wee programs, because they run the same program in Elizabethton all the way from the time they're little till they get to high school. Hence the success they've had there.
That's smart when you're able to get everybody on the same page like that, and clearly it's effective. So, Heather, as Chris was mentioning, you were in North Wilkesboro earlier this week. You've kind of been a road warrior. Saw you Saturday evening down at Murfreesboro for Hampton State Championship. Really glad you were able to get down there and capture that, and been on the run ever since, I guess.
Oh, I stay on the run. You should know that by now about me. I stay on the run. But I mean, would we have it any other way? I mean, if we're not out talking to the people that are making the headlines and doing the sports, then how can we report that to other people? So yeah, I stay on the run. I love it.
Yep. Slow feet don't eat, right?
That's right.
Hey, Heather, let's talk about North Wilkesboro first.
Okay.
Obviously, love the tweet, saw the video. You know, you're so right. It just, there's a magical sound that comes out of that place, and it seems like things are going good out there.
Things are going great. And I'm about to go into an area that might get a little shaky with the cell, so don't freak out too much. Things are going great. I mean, the track looks amazing. They haven't changed surface. They haven't touched it at all, but they've paved the infield for the haulers. They've redone suites and press boxes, added a whole thing of suites in turn 4. How they've been true to the history of the sport, but also brought in new things and new aspects to the racetrack to kind of give it some modern touch. They've added lights to the track, for instance. But yeah, it's going to be really cool.
I can't wait. I really can't. And I'm so excited to see what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like. And there's just something about, you know, the history of NASCAR in North Wilkesboro. So should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Did you hear positive things from drivers? They seem to be pretty positive on social media.
Oh yeah, all 3 drivers. I talked to Austin, to Chris, and to Tyler afterwards, and they're all really excited about the possibility. Chris Buescher actually said that he was among those that got out there with the weed eater during COVID and helped clean it up, just thinking that they were going to scan this and save it for iRacing. Never in a million years would he have imagined that they would actually get a chance to race on it. So I think none of these guys that were out there yesterday are old enough. I don't even think any of them were born the last time we raced on North Wilkesboro. But let me just tell you, there were a lot of crew members fighting for the opportunity to go out there and test from both RCR and from Roush Fenwick Kozlowski Racing. Chris Buescher specifically said Jimmy Fenning was over the moon. Old longtime crew chief for all you old NASCAR heads to get out there and to see North Wilkesboro come alive again. So just super excited about the possibilities of what this weekend could be. The key word that they were preaching to everybody in the media, and this will go for the fans too, is patience. This track is, although they've done amazing work, is not traffic patterns, amenities are not going to be like a brand new shiny racetrack, because it's not. So, you know, concession lines are going to be long. They're asking people to carpool because there's only one way in and one way out of the track, and the race is sold out. So, but I think the racing in the weekend has the chance to really be something special.
Yeah. So kudos to Junior for helping make this happen. I think he was a huge driving force behind it. And, you know, those documentaries that he was doing of the dead racetracks was just really cool. And I think, you know, he obviously had a lot to do with getting this off the ground. So kudos to him and kudos to all the folks in NASCAR for believing that it could be done. I'm certainly looking forward to it for sure. Moving on, some news this morning came out about an Xfinity driver who decided that Mo, you're going to love this because this is a level of petty to which you and I both aspire.
Add me.
Josh Williams, an Xfinity driver, was asked to park his ride after he had some tape come off of his vehicle and land on the track. And so they basically said, hey, debris coming off your car. You can't be on the track. You got to go. So what did he do? Well, he parked it at the start finish line on the track. And so Josh goes and recently is told that he's going to be suspended for a week, and he made a statement. I thought it was interesting. You know, the Cool Ray folks are probably pretty excited because that's the car that was on the track, and and Peg Leg Porker, by the way.
Yes, I'm seeing that. Kerry Bringle and the guys over there on right off 8th Avenue here in town. So that's big.
Yeah, good, great folks, and Josh put out a statement, and he's got him a T-shirt out too, by the way.
Yes. Well, it's funny because the T-shirt was supposed to help him pay a fine, which he didn't get. But I would encourage people, if they want to support him anyway. They're a low-funded team; they could definitely use the money to fund their program.
Well, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think that he may be the one race suspension was basically because they had to do something, but they didn't want to punish him too much?
Well, I think that if that was the case, they would have given him a fine. I actually think, and I don't disagree with NASCAR all that much, but I do think that the punishment was a little excessive. Okay. You know, for a small race team to not be able to go to the track is way more detrimental from fines, especially since Denny Hamlin said he was going to pay his fine. So that really wasn't going to be much of an issue for him. They did have to do something, I feel like, but we talked about this on our race show, which will air tomorrow with the crew chief. He didn't hurt anyone. He didn't wreck someone intentionally. He didn't put fans or race car drivers or pit crew members or NASCAR crew members or any of those kinds of things. It put none of them in jeopardy. The things that we see happen on a weekly basis with people turning people on purpose and running into them and, jumping in people's throats on pit road. He did none of those things. He parked it on the apron at the start finish line. So I just have a hard time believing that that's the most egregious thing that a driver could ever do. I find wrecking someone under caution on purpose, as William Byron did last year, far more egregious. But ultimately, it's NASCAR sandbox, and if you want to play in it, you got to play by their rules. So that's what they decided the punishment is. But it is, as you started this out, a level of petty that I aspire to get to, and I found it fantastic, personally.
I've got to have one of these shirts. It really is just phenomenal. Oh man. But it's interesting. And you're right. One of our commenters says NASCAR is not a democracy, Heather. It isn't. No, it is a dictatorship, and it's their sandbox. And if you want to play in it, you got to play by their rules. That is 100% true.
Yeah, it is. So be it. And I think Josh understands that. I don't know that he would change anything. In retrospect, except for, it's going to hurt to miss this race, but I think it actually gets more eyeballs on him and that small team. And in the long run, it may end up being more beneficial, but I haven't heard any talk of him trying to appeal this or any of that kind of stuff. So I think he realizes that. And so we move forward.
Well, we should definitely all be out there supporting Josh and that race team for sure. This weekend, well, first let's go back to this past weekend, because apparently, Heather, there's a curse involved with your picks, because Bubba Wallace barely made it 10 laps into the race before losing.
I know, we got to quit doing this because drivers are going to get mad at me. It's just like the whole Christopher Bell effect last year. So I don't know if I've told this story to you guys, but last year I was at both Charlotte and Martinsville when Christopher Bell walked off to advance to the next round. And I said something to him in Victory Lane at Martinsville. And I was like, I said, dude, you got to bring me with you to the championship 4, because every time I'm here, you win in walk-off fashion. So we joked about it. Well, then, of course, I didn't go to Phoenix because I can't go to Phoenix. And so every time I see Christopher Bell now, he looks at me and says, you were not in Phoenix.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I don't want to curse other drivers. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was an unfortunate day for Bubba for sure, and I feel like I played a role in that.
I don't know, but it wasn't the best day, like you said, for 2311.
But here's the thing about it. Bubba has seemed like he's had a terrible start to the finish. Does it not feel like to the season, right? It does not feel he's still 17th in the points, and he's only a few points out of 16th, and he was 16th going into this week. If this is a terrible start, especially compared to how Bubba has been in past seasons, this could be a big year for them still, because they're still in a really good position, even with all the bad luck they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, especially, and it really was just bad luck, and which is unfortunate because Toyotas were running really good at Atlanta. 4 of the other 5 Toyotas finished in the top 10, but Ford's Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski finishing 1, 2, and that's not really a surprise. Joey Logano is one of the best in the business.
Yeah, for sure. Well, really, both of them are, especially in that kind of form of racing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great to see RFK back and being relevant in the sport. I mean, Jack Roush has meant so much to this sport, and kind of like Petty a little bit. The organization had fallen on hard times, and Brad being in there has really, you can see the results after about a season, really about 3/4 of the way through last season. You really started to see a change in that organization, and they missed the show at the Coliseum. So you thought, I don't know, is this going to stick? But since then, both he and Chris has had some bad luck, Buescher. So he hasn't showed up in his finishes, but both those cars have run really well to start the season. And I am excited to see Roush kind of get their stuff together.
Well, this week we go to the Circuit of the Americas, better known as COTA. And I think the thing I'm most looking forward to this weekend is Ross Chastain dropping a watermelon from the top of the tower. That may be the thing I'm most looking forward to. Seriously.
I mean, Ross certainly knows how to keep himself relevant, doesn't he? I mean, riding the wall and cutting down walls and dropping watermelons. He certainly knows how to find the headline, which is great. He's another guy that scrapped and fought for everything that he's gotten, and finally is in a good situation, and I could not be more happy for him. As far as COTA goes, how cool is it that there are going to be 2 F1 drivers in this race this weekend? I mean, my mind is blown by the possibilities of this, because I think that it is important both directions for there to be crossover. And I know it's much more difficult to cross into F1 because of all the licensing and that kind of stuff. And they're a very, very elite club, so to speak. But to have F1 drivers come into NASCAR, and we'll see how it goes for them. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of difficult for them. I think helps lead credence to the fact that NASCAR driving is difficult driving, and it is an elite level of driving to F1 fans. NASCAR fans already feel that way, but for F1 fans, I think that is going to be really important for them to see just how difficult and how different it is. When I sat on the Zoom with Jensen Button, sorry, his name's totally evaporated for a second. He was talking about how much he just respected NASCAR and how much he's always been a fan, and how he got into it watching Days of Thunder, but that he expects it to be a completely different challenge. It's a completely different race, and that's why he wants to do it, why he wants to try this. So I think it's gonna be great.
I do too. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and obviously we do have to turn right sometimes in NASCAR, folks.
Yes.
It does happen on occasion. So, and it's not easy to do, by the way. Those cars are heavy. Oh man, but we're looking forward to it. It is going to be a great race, and it should be fun. Sunday, 2:30 Central Time. So make sure to check your Fox listings there. But yeah, the race will start at 2:30. Should be fun, and looking forward to more conversations with Heather. Heather, I'm not going to ask you to pick anybody this week, because I don't want anybody to wreck.
Yeah, please don't.
We're just not even going to. We're
I
just going to go with it.
I don't want to jinx people.
I feel so bad. It's like, gosh, what are we going to do? But no, we appreciate your time.
Let's do this. Let's do this though.
Why don't I do this? Let me just say this. Look for the Chevys to be strong this week. Last week was a Ford weekend. I think given the range of road course drivers and the level of talent in the Chevy garage, I look for the Chevys to be strong this week. And we'll just leave it at that.
Identify your winner. Just keep it to yourself. And next week we'll ask you who you would have picked, and you'll be on the honor system.
Okay, I like that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
She's going to be undefeated at the end of the year.
I know, right?
No, she won't. She'll be straight with us. I trust Heather. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, if a Chevy wins, then I guess she can say, "See, told you so."
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
just
who I
keep it a little
picked.
more broad.
Oh man. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks, Heather, again, and enjoy your trip to flag football. Girls flag football is a lot of fun, and I'm curious, and we'll be looking for your interview from this.
Yeah, well, we'll put that on social on Fridays when it's going to run. So keep
Perfect.
your eye open for that.
That'll work.
Thank you so much, and we will talk to you next
we'll
week.
Talk to you guys later. Yep.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Mo, there is some. Well, there's some happenings in the world of college basketball coaching, and some quotes floating around out there from press conferences. We're going to get into them a little bit here in the next segment. Also, Cam Newton, he says there's not 32 people better than him at playing quarterback in the NFL. So we may take a look at all the quarterbacks and see which ones we think he might be better than. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today returns after this.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller from Mornings on Main Street. Join us March 23rd at Bridgestone Arena with the Nashville Predators for Main Street Media Night. I know Devin O'Day will be here.
You know I will be, Stephanie. Plus, you can register for a Predators prize pack. They were going to call it the Hockey Hootenanny, but they changed. So that it's going to have 4 tickets and food vouchers. You got to register to win.
We're looking forward to seeing all of our Main Street Sports Today fans, right, Chris?
Absolutely, we are. And we could not do this without, of course, our owner, Dave Gould, and our friends here at Smashville.
Speaking of,
where is Dave?
We will see you March 23rd for Main Street Media Night. Let's go, Prince!
Do I have the wrong night?
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton here with you on this Wednesday edition. Wild and Wacky Wednesday, the weirdest and wildest stories from across the world. Maybe Florida coming your way, still to come.
Maybe. Did you say maybe?
Yeah, I don't have a story from Florida yet, but if we have extra time, I may just go to the Florida Man Twitter account and see what happens. So there's that.
Never fails.
That's right. Ben Arthur will join us as well at 3 o'clock to talk a little Titans and AFC South. So before we get to that, though, let's go to the NCAA basketball coaching carousel, which is a little wild considering that there's a team in the Sweet 16 who I guess doesn't have a coach. Because Ed Cooley is now the coach at Georgetown, but he's also coaching Princeton in the Sweet 16. I don't even know how that.
No. Ed Cooley was at Providence.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry.
Wrong PR.
You're right. You're right. It's okay. That makes more sense.
Yes.
Ed Cooley taking over the Georgetown job, and Georgetown hasn't won a NCAA tournament game since the kids at Georgetown were in diapers, if they were even born. I don't know that I'm leaving Providence, where I just spent most of the year in the top 25, to go to Georgetown.
But here's the thing. I mean, Providence has been in the top 25, but it's been a long climb, man. And Georgetown.
So why leave now? You've made it to the mountaintop.
And sometimes staying atop is harder than getting there. So
there you go. Okay.
And I just think that
expectations, manage them.
More money, more problems, or something to that effect. I mean,
there you go.
And I just think maybe Ed Cooley feels like it's going to be easier to have that type of success at Georgetown than to sustain it at Providence.
That's absolutely what's happening here. I love that John Rothstein posted on Twitter that he had put his house up for sale and apparently had signed the paperwork on March 3rd. And I'm not even sure if Patrick Ewing had been fired at that point, but
well, it also seems, and I don't want to get too much into this, but it seems like there were some personal issues in Coach Cooley's life that if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Sure.
Kind of things. And so that change of environment may have been necessary to keep mama happy.
Perfectly understandable. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Seen it before. Seen it before a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Also out, obviously, Jim Boeheim in, Adrian Autry. We've talked about that already. Providence looking for a coach. Notre Dame looking for a coach as Mike Bray is out. And I saw something where Mike Bray might be headed to Florida. I can't remember if it was South Florida or one of the, or either FIU or FAU if dude leaves. I'd
Mike Bray is expected. Mike Bray is expected to coach. I think he was expected to be in play at St. John's before Rick Pitino took that job, which again, that was a job that we thought was we thought someone had a job there, but they unceremoniously dumped Mike Anderson and are trying to do it for cause.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I understand trying, but I don't think they got much of a case.
No, I don't think. I think they're getting ready to have to make Mike Anderson a fairly
he's fixing
richer guy.
I think he's fixing to give him a line that his old boss once used.
Pay me my money and you can have this job tomorrow.
Have it tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm a little surprised that hasn't been resurrected. Good call, Chris. That was good. Yeah,
so let's and look, Mike Anderson's going to coach. Mike Anderson should be coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think St. John's was a great place for Mike Anderson to be.
I never thought that was a good fit for him.
It just was.
I mean, this is a guy who has spent is from the South, has spent his whole life in the South, has spent his entire coaching career in the South. I never felt like that was a good fit. If Dusty May leaves Florida Atlantic, that might be the spot.
That would be a heck of a spot. And I'd be scared if I were the AAC. And, I think I understand his reasoning for leaving UAB to go to the SEC. I get that. It's money. It's
prestige.
It's all the things.
It was Arkansas. I don't know that he would have left to go
Arkansas.
anywhere else, given his background, given his history. You know, Coach Richardson probably had a hand in it. And no, I don't blame Mike Anderson for leaving UAB and going to Arkansas.
But hindsight being 50-50, I legitimately think that Mike probably wishes he had just
wrote it out at UAB.
Let that, yeah. And I think UAB, obviously now it's a little different because you got Andy Kennedy, but they certainly would not mind having back a few of those years in between Mike Anderson and Andy Kennedy. So, you know, I think he's a great coach, and he's a perfect coach at a place like FAU and the AAC. I think he's a really good coach in the SEC, but it just didn't make sense. His style of play doesn't really work there. You know, you can't really do 40 minutes of hell with, you know, in the Big East. It's just not something, because they got big kids. It's not the same type of basketball. So it just didn't really make sense.
Yeah. You got a bunch of big physical kids trying to play 94 feet. It's not a good idea.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think he'll be coaching next year. I definitely think that he deserves to be coaching, and I think he's going to be doing it with some money from St. John's, because they're not getting out of paying it.
No, they're no. I mean, what is your cause when you say for cause? You know, what is it that he did that other than not win games and
allegedly had
Rick
something to do
Pitino
with
being available?
Yeah, allegedly has something to do with the academics, but no. I'm not buying that. that oceanfront property can stay in Arizona.
And I don't think anybody that would be asked to buy it in legal terms, I don't think they're going to either. Yeah, they're gonna have to cut the check for Mike, and rightfully so. And it's what they should have done to start with.
Yeah, should have just said, "Listen, man, it ain't working out here. Appreciate you, deuces."
Yeah.
But and speaking of Rick Pitino, who leaves Iona,
mm-hmm.
in his opening press conference, makes this comment that he's always run a clean program, Mo. I'm sorry.
I chuckled when you sent me that. Yeah. That's
when I think clean program, there are two names that don't pop into my head. And both of them have coached at Kentucky. And one of them is still there.
John Calipari out here catching strays. Yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, you know, they're semi-related in the sense that they both coached at Kentucky and both have left other places in a little disarray. But to Pitino's credit, he has certainly not done anything at Iona to raise any eyebrows. Of course, I don't know how many eyeballs are looking at Iona, but he's been to the tournament. He had a good year last year. I think this is it's a good spot for him. It's a place he can win. And I think St. John's probably made a good call.
I think what's funny is when they were talking about moving away from Mike Anderson at St. John's, one of the things was they needed someone a little younger, a little more energetic, blah, blah, blah.
And this is the guy you go get.
3 years old. Rick Pitino is 70.
Yeah.
I guess it's a young 70.
He's a young 70. All right. But that left an opening at Iona.
Yes, it did.
And
they didn't waste a lot of time filling it.
Well, and here's the thing: a lot of folks don't realize, and I didn't really, I didn't know this either until I can't remember who it was that Stuart Mandel made a post about how it was a weird hiring practice to hire a guy who had one good season, and then he gets a better job because of a win in the NCAA tournament. And that's Tobin Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference is that Tobin Anderson was a finalist for the Iona job when Rick Pitino got it. And yeah, see, that makes a difference. He was our second choice last time. He's our first choice this time. But also
because our first choice just left. Yeah.
Our first choice left. So we'll take that guy. If he wants it, call him. And he just won a game in the NCAA tournament at Fairleigh Dickinson, where he took a team that went 4-22 the previous year and went to the second round of the NCAA tournament. I think he's probably pretty good at coaching. I mean, his D2 and D3 records certainly say he is.
Well, and
so this works out for everybody involved.
Obviously, it's a different beast than D2 and D3, but at the same time, you know, that's an interesting side note to Tobin Anderson, to Iona, the fact that he was in the search the last time and he was their number 2 guy. But you know, on its face, if you don't know that, I get where Stuart Mandel is coming from in terms of the look of the flavor of the month type guy, that kind of thing. I mean, you've seen way too often guys that have had NCAA tournament runs and bounce, and it's a week. It's, you know, it's a pretty short sample size, generally speaking. I mean, I specifically think of, you know, we were talking about Arkansas, you know, Stan Heath getting the Arkansas job off of an NCAA tournament run and it not working out. So, I mean, there are a lot of instances where, you know, the flavor of the week hasn't worked out.
But then then you've got guys like Shaka Smart who, you know, moved to Texas, won the Big 12. Now, obviously, it didn't end great for Shaka, but I mean, it worked out for a time. And there are great instances in both cases, but I think this Tobin Anderson piece is just a little bit unique to the Iona situation. It just so happened that he already wanted the job, and so, you know, they went ahead and gave it to him when they could.
I hate to see him leave after 1 year.
I do too. I would like to see what he could do at Fairleigh Dickinson. But boy, if you saw that picture of their gym, you know why getting to Iona may not. But again, how many times have we said it in football, Mo? You can stay too long.
Oh,
and so
no question.
You know, get out while you can, if you can. You know, make that money. You can always go back.
Secure the bag.
Typically, you can always go back.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not mad at Tobin Anderson. I'm not mad at Iona.
Sure,
I'm a little mad at Rick Pitino, but that's another story. I mean, seriously. Again, going back to Mike Anderson, I other than lose games, and maybe that's not a other than, you know, what did he do at St. John's that was worthy of getting fired? Now, guys get fired for not winning games all the time. But
just say that.
Yeah.
Don't lie to us. You ain't got to lie, Craig.
Yeah. Say that, pay him, and let's move on.
All right, real quick. Let's talk a little Cam Newton as he participated in Auburn's.
Can you talk a little, Cam Newton?
We're gonna try. We're gonna try to make it as quick as we can. So Cam Newton throws at Auburn's pro day yesterday, but then does not speak to media because he didn't want to take the spotlight away from the kids at Auburn. First of all, you've been talking trash and on social media for the last week. The spotlight's been gone, buddy. It's on you. It's been on you. Don't give us this crap. But that being said, 33-year-old Cam Newton says that there's not 32 players at the quarterback position in the NFL better than he is. So let's take a look at those 32 quarterbacks and talk about which ones he might be better than. Here they are. Would you take Cam Newton over Desmond Ridder?
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, I was going to say you're going to have to go back
over Davis White.
Davis
Absolutely.
White, Sam Darnold, Davis Mills, Baker Mayfield is kind of iffy, but maybe
Mayfield is iffy. Pickett, I would not.
Okay, I think you're right. I think I'm in the. Of course, these are Matt Castle's way too early quarterback rankings, and that's another story for another day. We're going backwards here, but I mean, there's no maybe Andy Dalton.
I think there's a reason to go backwards though, because I really think as I quickly scan the rest of this list, I think right there is kind of the break point there. Really.
Yeah,
because I don't think I take him over
Dalton.
I don't think I take him over Jacoby Brissett at this point.
Nope. Jacoby had a great year last year with the Browns. He's going to be the starter in Washington probably.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll take him over Andy Dalton, but I think
Well,
Andy
the problem
Dalton
is
is
that
probably
Andy Dal-
too high in this ranking.
Well, Andy Dalton is also with the Panthers, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're not taking him for sure.
Yeah, right.
On top of everything else.
But I think what did we say? 2, 4,
I think 4.
6 maybe.
Who's Andy Dalton? Not Andy Dalton, sorry. Sam Darnold, he's still out there?
I mean,
I don't know who
he's
he's
on the
with,
list.
but yeah, he's on this ranking.
He's got an NFL shield behind him, which means he's not at the time of this graphic being made, he was not on a roster.
Right.
I don't know. Cam Newton he's not a guy that now again, I've said it on the show a gazillion times. There are only 14 people in the world who can play at a high level. So, sometimes sometimes leadership and having a veteran presence is not necessarily the worst thing. But after what we saw him do in New England, it just didn't look like he was capable of playing NFL quarterback at the level he played it when he won an MVP.
I don't know that was necessarily his fault.
Well, and I certainly think that the offensive mindset and
or
the Bill Belichick world is different.
Let me tweak that. I don't know that was all his fault.
I don't disagree. I don't think it was a good fit.
Yeah.
And have no idea why he ended up there. But other than that, I would like to see him in a little bit different type of offense. I don't think what he does wouldn't work here.
No.
In Nashville, but potentially it could work somewhere like, I don't know, maybe Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. I think that there are places where Cam Newton could be a productive quarterback in the NFL. So I don't disagree with his comment. Now, I don't know how many. And again, as we look at the list, I don't know how many folks that Cam versus X you would take Cam, but there are some.
I would agree with that completely. I would agree with that one completely. But I thought he had a good pro day. He threw the ball well, and I think that's interesting to say. Obviously it's pro days. It is what it is, but
well, and how often had he thrown with those receivers?
Probably never. Maybe a day or two before. That's about it.
So I think you have to take that into consideration, that he did throw well with unfamiliar receivers.
Sure. So we'll continue this quarterback conversation as it pertains to the Tennessee Titans on the other side of a break, as we have Fox Sports' Ben Arthur standing by. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll come back to the Lee Company studio and talk to Ben Arthur right after this.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint in the Lee Company studio. Glad to have you with us, Mo Patton, and I'm Chris Yow. We are continuing our football conversation because football never sleeps in the South, as we both know. Welcoming in from Fox Sports, Ben Arthur. Ben, what's up, man?
How you doing, guys?
Doing well, Ben. Appreciate you taking some time with us. We saw a tweet yesterday. I saw a tweet yesterday that kind of screamed, let's get Ben Arthur on to address this. Not going to say who disseminated it, but apparently the Titans are the odds-on favorite in somebody's estimation to acquire Lamar Jackson if he's not in Baltimore this year. Have you seen that? Have you heard that? Do you believe that?
Have I seen it? Yes. Do I believe it? No. I'm not sure how likely that is. First of all, if you're Lamar, when you look at, I mean, you obviously have contract parameters that you're looking for, and obviously the guarantees are very big for him, but you also have to look at the team, right? And you look at this Titans team, they don't really have an offensive line right now. They don't have weapons really apart from Treylon Burks and Chigo Okonkwo. It's really a worse situation than what he had in Baltimore. So from a football standpoint right now, it's really not all that appealing. I mean, you can think, with Derrick Henry and the kind of run game that they could have, but we're not even so sure Derrick is going to be here. The Titans are going through a lot of transition, a lot of retooling in terms of their roster. And then you think, right, like if you're the Titans, you come up with an offer sheet, and the Ravens don't decide to match, you have to give the Ravens 2 first-round picks. The Titans are not in a great situation from a draft capital standpoint. They only have 6 selections this year, and to take away that first-round pick this year and the one next year and not really having a whole lot of resources to build a team around Lamar, I think that has to go into the equation, right? If you're going to bring in a $200 million quarterback, you have to be pretty confident in your ability to build a Super Bowl contender around him. And I'm not sure the Titans really have that. And then I think also people have to remember cash, like having liquid cash is so important when you look at the kind of guarantees that a quarterback like Lamar is going to command. Whenever whenever you have these contracts with guaranteed money, like fully guaranteed money, teams are required to put that guaranteed money into an escrow account, like liquid cash, actual cash, to have to pay the player over the terms of the contract. And I'm not sure if Amy Adams-Strunk, from a liquid cash standpoint, from a Titans ownership standpoint, if they're able to give Lamar the kind of guarantees he seeks. And then we have to remember that Amy Adams-Strunk is prepared to liquidate $700 million for the new stadium. That is kind of on track towards becoming a thing in Nashville. And so there's so many elements to this. And I think from where the Titans are at, not only from that perspective, but from a football standpoint and from a roster building standpoint and kind of the period of transition that they're in, I don't think Lamar Jackson really makes sense for this team.
Thank you. That's really all.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for laying out all of the reasons that we just said no. You elaborated on it and pointed out every reason that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's kind of what we needed, because you know a lot more about it than we do. But I think we all kind of came to the same conclusion regarding that. That's not going to happen. So what do you feel like is next for the Titans? I mean, at the quarterback position, obviously, Josh Dobbs just signed with Cleveland here in the last couple of days. So, you don't know what's going to happen with Tannehill. Malik Willis is still on the roster, I assume. I mean, where are these guys going? Do you have any better feel for where they're going at quarterback than maybe you have had earlier in this offseason?
Yeah, I think it's trending in the direction toward Ryan Tannehill being the guy for another season. And I don't think a lot of people necessarily want to hear that, but and I think, guys, I think I said this on the show before, a quote from current Lions general manager Brad Holmes about how it's easier to get worse at quarterback than to get better. And I think that the Titans are kind of exhibit A of kind of that statement, that they with Ryan Tannehill, they have someone that they can trust. He's not maybe not a great quarterback, but he's above average. You know what you get from him. You've won a lot of games with him. You know what he can do. And you look at the Titans' perspective from the draft being at number 11, that they're not really in position to jump up to get one of the top guys. Is it impossible? No. But again, kind of going back to the whole Lamar thing in terms of giving up draft capital, the Titans only have 6 picks. And what it would cost the Titans to move up for a guy, I think that's maybe too steep for them. And then you look at Malik, he's not quite ready yet, at least through this rookie season. He through his rookie season last year, he showed that he's not quite ready to kind of take over the reins of an offense. Could that change in year 2? Yeah, potentially. He's expected to make steps forward. But I think with the predicament the Titans are in, I think it makes the most sense to continue rolling with Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. I wouldn't be so surprised if they even extended Ryan Tannehill to lower that cap number. He's at $36.6 million cap number, which is it the top in the league? I'm not quite sure if it's number 1. It's definitely one of the top cap hits in the NFL, and certainly restricts the Titans' ability to continue to add to the roster. So with an extension, you could bring down that cap number, giving yourself more financial wiggle room to improve the roster. And so I think for this stage of the Titans, it makes the most sense for them to continue to roll with Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, probably give him an extension, and then continue to monitor Malik Willis's development. At this point, I wouldn't say, I don't believe the Titans are confident that maybe that he could be the guy, just based on what he's shown us to this point. Maybe in 2024, you can get a better look at the quarterbacks in that draft class. But I think right now, considering where Malik Willis is at and the position they're at in the draft and kind of the limited resources, the limited draft capital, I think it makes the most sense to continue forward with Ryan Tannehill.
Ben Arthur of FoxSports.com joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Covers the AFC South. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben Y. Arthur. Ben, when you say that Malik didn't necessarily show that he was ready, I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, how much of an assessment could you actually get on Malik based on the folks that were around him last year?
Yeah, that's a great point, Mo. I mean, the offensive line couldn't protect him. They didn't have receivers really, and so it is hard to kind of get a true gauge on a guy. But we saw some flashes here and there, and from a dual threat perspective, right? He has a lot of upside. We saw some wow throws on occasion, but there was just so much from a processing, from a decision making, from a maneuvering the pocket standpoint, that in spite of kind of all that was wrong around him, you could see that he wasn't quite there yet. And so this is obviously a big offseason for him. I'm not saying that Malik Willis can't be the guy, but what he showed last season, wasn't where I think maybe a lot of people had hoped, even knowing that he was a raw prospect coming in. And so he could make massive strides this year, and certainly having a year under his belt in the NFL and kind of learning in the quarterback room and whatnot could help him. So we'll kind of see. Again, I think maybe kind of the Titans' best way to move forward is kind of to monitor his development, but not put yourself in a situation where you're banking on him to take over from Ryan Tannehill. I'm not sure that would be good business. I think continuing to watch how he progresses and see if he's growing like you anticipated and kind of go from there. And we have to remember he was a 3rd round pick. So it's not like they necessarily have a whole bunch invested in him. He was a great value pick in the 3rd round last year, but the Titans aren't or shouldn't be in a situation where they feel like that he needs to show enough to be the successor to Ryan Tannehill. That would be great, but I don't think the Titans have pigeonholed themselves in that.
Ben, as we look around the AFC South, obviously, if we're ranking quarterbacks from top to bottom, Trevor Lawrence is at the top right now, and Brian Tannehill's probably number 2. How, as far as quarterbacks are concerned, and that's what we're talking about here, do you feel like even with both the Texans and Colts likely taking a rookie quarterback, you feel like the Titans are still in a good spot as far as the AFC South is concerned and where they rank in quarterback? Because again, you said it, you can always get worse. It's a lot harder to get better.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars to me are still kind of the favorite in the division for obvious reasons. I think the Titans are still number 2. I think mainly because of their defense. I mean, you look at, I think they could still improve on the depth a bit, but you look at the starters, even though they lost David Long Jr., they added Azeez Al-Shaair, they added Sean Murphy Bunting, who played really well for the Bucks. They still have a really strong frontline defense. That defense will carry. I think they have the best defense in the division. I think that defense will win a lot of games for them. I think from an offensive standpoint, the Titans have a lot of work to do for obvious reasons. And I think because of that, I mean, you look at the surrounding casts that obviously Jacksonville has, that the Texans have assembled, that the Colts have been working on. I think you look apart from the quarterback position, the Titans maybe have the worst offensive talent And obviously Ryan Tannehill, like you were saying, Chris, he's the second best quarterback in the division right now. But you look at O-line, tight ends, wide receivers, Tennessee right now is probably in the worst shape of those teams, and there's still a long way to go with free agency, and we haven't even gotten to the draft yet. So I do think maybe the gap has closed in that regard, but I think you look at the overall team, and Mike Vrabel is a top 5 coach in the NFL. I still think this is the second best team in the division, a team that has the ability to push Jacksonville, health enabling, right? A big reason why the Jaguars were able to win the division is because the Titans just couldn't stay healthy. I mean, it was just an awful run of injuries that they had for a second straight season, and it contributed to their collapse. And so I would still put Jacksonville up at the top, but I think Tennessee is number 2. But I think you look at the offensive talent, Tennessee is probably 4th, in all honesty.
Well, I don't think there's anybody that's going to argue with that. I mean, they had one wide receiver, and he only played half a season, and maybe one offensive lineman who's going to see significant playing time this next year. Maybe 2, I guess. Petit Frere could see some significant playing time. And then, of course, Derrick Henry. That's, Chika Okonkwo is maybe the most talented player on the roster at this point. I mean, it's seriously crazy how bad this offense is. And that being said, got to expect that they're going to go offense in the first round at pick 11, whether it be offensive tackle, wide receiver. It's going to be one of those 2, don't you think?
Yeah. It's like you said, Chris. It's pretty much probably best offensive player available. Left tackle has been.
It's somebody from Ohio State. More like
one of
the 2. Somebody from Ohio State.
One of the 2.
Either the receiver or the tackle.
Jr., Jackson Smith, Jigba. One of those 2 guys is certainly a possibility. I know the Northwestern kid, the guy with guard tackle versatility, Peter
Skoronsky.
Yeah. I think he's an option as well. And so, yeah, they're pretty much in a position where it's going to be best offensive player available. And I would be shocked if they chose a position other than offensive line or wide receiver, assuming they stay at 11, and assuming all the quarterbacks are off the board, which that should be the case. So I think, offense, it has to be offense.
In reality, Ben, isn't it more likely that the Titans trade back than trade up?
Yeah.
If they do anything, if they move.
Yeah, I think there's a really strong possibility of that. Again, they only have 6 draft picks. The Titans are in a position where they're probably not going to be legitimate like contenders at the top of the AFC. So, and what Rand Carthon has done is tried to give the team as much flexibility as possible in terms of the guys he signed, like 1-year deals or limited guarantees or kind of multi-year contracts with team options essentially after the first year. And so they're very much in a period of transition. And I think if you can get as much depth and talent as possible to kind of rebuild this Titans team, I think that would be a no-brainer. So I think trading back, I would assume I think should be a bigger possibility than trading up.
There you go. Ben Arthur of Fox Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Ben, thanks for taking time.
Chris,
go ahead.
Chris, before we dismiss him, I want to sneak one final question in.
Uh-oh.
Ben, when Rand Carthon was first heading this way and first getting here, there was a lot of conjecture about his former team's quarterback situation as it related to Tennessee. Do you think there's any possibility that we see Trey Lance?
I don't think so. I think if you had asked me several weeks ago, maybe even before Purdy's injury, I would say that there's a chance, but right now, no. I mean, the 49ers have so much uncertainty with the quarterback position. They lost Jimmy G. Brock Purdy's timeline is several months coming back from that shoulder issue. And then Trey Lance himself is coming back from an injury from last season. For the 49ers to give up one of their quarterbacks in what's a major time of kind of uncertainty at the most important position, the 49ers would have to be blown away for an offer for Trey Lance. And even I just don't see it happening. There's just too much uncertainty there. I think there's a case that either they could run with Trey or Brock as kind of their starter for 2023, depending on the health situation. And I think they would prefer to have depth in case they had kind of a disastrous situation happen again, like they did last year, having to lose so many quarterbacks and having to keep finding a new guy to put in there. So I don't think Trey Lance is really an option at this point in time for the Titans.
There you go. Well, again, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right. It's Ben Arthur. Follow him on Twitter at Ben Y. Arthur. Real quick before we get to the final segment, Mo, Mike Trout versus Shohei Ohtani with the World Baseball Classic on the line could not have been
TV, man.
Could not have been any better for the World Baseball Classic, huh?
I mean, if that didn't get you ready for the baseball season, then you're not going to be ready. That was awesome.
I saw someone who said, imagine playing in that environment, then having to go back to Major League Baseball.
Well, imagine playing in that environment and then having to go back to Angel Stadium for both Ohtani and Trout. I mean,
that's brutal.
God, yeah,
brutal.
That was electric, man.
No question. And you know, the anticipation that built up to it, it was fantastic. Congratulations to Japan. Great win, great ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Verlander said it, and it proved to be true. We just don't have the pitching to win this thing consistently.
Well, I think we have the pitching. We didn't have the pitching available on that roster. That's
what he's saying. He's saying that the Team USA just
those weren't the best guys. Those weren't the best guys we could have run out there. I mean, Adam Wainwright at a time would have been one of those guys. In 2023, he's not that guy.
Right. So anyway, we got time for a couple of stories, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world coming your way right now. I've scoured the entire internet and I found Virginia. Newport News, Virginia. Former area home of three of the greatest athletes in the history of sports, to be honest with you. But these guys, pretty good athletes in their own right, but also pretty smart. They, well, at least for a little bit, 2 inmates in a Virginia jail used primitively made tools to create a hole in the wall of their cell and escape.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. They used tools made from a toothbrush and a metal object to access rebars between the walls, and they used the rebar to further their escape. And after escaping their cell, they scaled a containment wall around the jail.
Was there a Raquel Welch poster involved in this?
I hope so. Authorities discovered the 2 men ages 37 and 43 missing from their cell in Newport News Jail Annex during a routine head count on Monday evening. And a preliminary investigation said that they had exploited the weakness in the jail's construction. Now, they asked for the public's help to find the men, and the next day they were spotted at an IHOP.
Oh my gosh.
They hopped the fence and, well,
hey man, pancakes.
kept it going. Those pancakes, those chocolate chip pancakes really are something to be.
They'll do it. They'll do
something
it.
to be said for those. That's all I'm saying. Oh man. And a couple in England got a not so sweet surprise when they discovered their home had turned into a beehive. Honey started dripping down the wall of their home. Kate Dempsey, 41-year-old, initially assumed it was just damp, but the sweet smelling aroma sparked curiosity, and she decided to pull up the floorboards, and what she found was unbelievable.
Nice.
Get out.
And that's going to do it for this episode. We're back tomorrow live from Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame at 2:00 on Main Street Sports Today. Have a good one.